Welcome back, folks. In this video, I will show you how to use a Google Collaboratory book or a Google Colab notebook. Okay, so if you log into Google and you're at My Drive, right, which is in the little Google Apps icon, it's this icon, right, Drive. You're here in your My Drive. If you come over to New on the left-hand side, upper left-hand side, right, go to More, and then Google Collaboratory, like that. So I'll do that, click on it. Another very quick way to do it is just simply Google Colab. And I assume the first hit, yep, the first hit is there as well. So that's cool. But I'll just go back to the one I just opened a second ago. And what I want to show you is, this is a Linux environment. And so if you want to do Linux commands, you either have to use an exclamation point to like pip install something. Like if I pip install requests, I let it go with the keyboard shortcut. You could click that button with your mouse, or there's a keyboard shortcut to do so, which I used. It's now going out and getting the request Python module. And so that's cool. It took 8 seconds to do so. And then you can click on this one right here, plus code, to add a new code cell below it. Or if you hover your mouse over the bottom part of the code cell, it has the same thing. Or there's a keyboard shortcut, as you would guess. So I'll use that. Pip install just text, for example. I'll run this little cell, keyboard shortcut, or you can click it with your mouse right there. And it's telling me what it's doing, and it finished. Good. I'm going to do another cell here, keyboard shortcut to create a new cell below. And then if I want to use these, right, then at this point I don't need the exclamation point. So this is a Linux command. A shell command, or a Unix command, I guess. And now I can just write I can write Python code. So if I say import request, import just text, and I say, hey, let's make a new variable called response. That is the response from a get. Let me go out to the internet real quick and go to, say, our bloggers. Let's grab a blog post. Let me just grab top 5-ish sources of ecological data. Okay, why not? And I come here and it says this article is first published. I'm trying to just simply trying to. I'm simply trying to find a blog post right now that has sentences and paragraphs, you know, like that type of text. Let me grab the URL keyboard shortcut to grab and copy the URL up in the address bar up there. Jump back over to here, throw that address in there. Good. If I want to print out response, I'll run this code block by doing the keyboard shortcut. Response 200 means everything went well, so that's awesome. Now if I want to grab out the paragraphs using just text, and I pass in response.content, and then I use just text to get stop list. I think that's what I want to do right there. Open parentheses, English. Awesome. If I print out this now, keyboard shortcut to run that block. Yeah, I see a bunch of little objects here. This right here is a location on the memory of this, I guess, the file system of Google. So anyway, that worked. I have a bunch of paragraph objects. That's good. Then I want to loop over these things. So I'll go for paragraph singular and paragraph plurals. It might even be easier to really make my eye catch that that's just one. I'll do for P in paragraphs. And then I say if P, or if not P is boilerplate, then print out P's text, the current paragraph's text. If I run this, I do indeed see a bunch of text that was written by a human at some point. Well, I assume it's written by a human. Anyway, this is the text from that website, that web page over here. They went through and just grabbed all of this sentence level stuff. That's what just text did. Okay, so that's cool. Now, the main purpose of this video is to show you how to push this out to a file, and then how to get that file down to your hard drive on your computer, because the Google Colab notebook does not have access to your hard drive on your computer. It is a different file system. It's its own little file system, like a little virtual machine. So let's just write out this text to a file. So let's do with open. We'll just call it, webpage.txt. That's good. The mode, comma there. The mode I'm doing is writing, right? Writing out, good. Encoding, our old friend UTF-8, right? As out file, I'm going to indent all of this stuff. And then, in addition to printing out to the screen, I actually want to write out to the hard drive. So we're going to go out file, dot write, and then we're going to print out P's text. I also want to add a new line break onto the side at the end of it so it doesn't get smashed into one big paragraph. I'm not sure if it's holding on to the new line break out here or not, but we'll find out in a second. And in fact, I also want to grab the URL. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this URL out of here, cut it out, and save it to a variable up here called URL, very transparently named, right? So I'm just going to save that URL to a variable called URL, pass it in there, and also I want to actually write out the URL as the first thing on my in my file with the new line break. So now if I run this code block, keyboard shortcut to run the code block, it ran really quickly. And if I click on this fourth icon on the left-hand side of my screen right now, that looks like a file, like an actual physical file, right? It actually opens up my file system on this Google Colab notebook. And I can see webpage.txt, which I created with this code right there, with this open webpage.txt writing out thing. That was created with this. I should have shown you that it wasn't there before. Oh, I see a problem. Okay, I'm looking at the right side of my screen right now. I'm seeing that every paragraph it saved the URL, which I didn't want it to do that way, right? Let me just real quick fix that. I'll push this up to about here. Pull it back to about there, rerun this code block, keyboard shortcut to rerun it. If I open this up now, I bet it'll be better. Yeah, so we just see that once, and then we see each paragraph in its own new line. Good. So there it is. Again, this webpage.txt is not on my hard drive on my computer. It's on the file system of this Google Collaboratory notebook. But it's very easy to get it down to my hard drive. If you click on those three vertical dots, if you put your cursor, your mouse over the webpage.txt and look at those three vertical dots and click them, one of them is download. The very first one is download. So I will just download it and I'll save it to my downloads folder, go. And now if I open it up, sure enough, there it is. It's sitting on my hard drive now. Okay, there it is. So what I did is I used a web browser to go to Google, to a Google Collaboratory book, which is online. I'm using Google's hardware and their Python installation, and I'm having it do work for me. And I have it save the TXT file to its file system right back over here, and then I download that to my hard drive. And then I can use that TXT file to like submit for homework or something else, right? And if I want to save the actual code that I'm writing right now, the code that I wrote right here, I can come up to File and Download. You can download it as a as an IPython notebook, which is a file format that the notebook software, notebook systems recognize. Or I could just download it as a PY file and submit that PY file as my part of my homework submission as well. I'll just do that for fun. Go here, probably change that to something else besides Untitled 3, but for the moment, we'll just let it open up as Untitled 3. And you can see that here is the stuff that I wrote over there in the Google Colab notebook in a Python script. So that is how you use a Google Collaboratory. It's a very, very quick example of how to use a Google Collaboratory or Colab book. And this is often useful if you have a problem with installing software on your hard drive, like if your computer doesn't have certain dependencies, software dependencies that certain Python modules depend on. You can try and resolve those dependencies on your hard drive, or a quick workaround is just to use a Google Colab book and do your work in here, and then download the PY file here, and download any output files that it creates as well. So anyway, that is the way I use Google Colab notebooks. You can also have access to what are called GPUs, which is kind of out of the scope of kind of basic text processing. But if you're doing like machine learning, then you want to have access to a graphical processing unit or a tensor processing unit. So anyway, great. That's it. See you next time.